What if I told you that your biggest financial enemy is not the economy? It's not your salary. It's not even your spending habits. It's 200,000 years of human evolution. Your brain, the most sophisticated organ on the planet, was never designed to save money. It was designed to survive. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how that ancient wiring is draining your bank account every single day, and what the wealthiest people in the world do differently. Stay with me, because by the end of this, the way you see money will never be the same. Welcome back to Global Village, Wealth Habits. I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going deep, not just into finance. We're going into the human brain, into the psychology of why smart, educated, hardworking people still struggle to keep money. This is not about discipline. This is not about willpower. This is about understanding the battlefield, because you cannot win a war you don't understand. Let's get into it. Picture this. It's 50,000 years ago. You're not sitting in a chair. You're on the African savannah. There are no supermarkets, no bank accounts, no next month. There is only now. Your ancestors woke up every morning with one question: will I survive today? Food was uncertain. Predators were real. Winter could wipe out an entire tribe. So the human brain evolved a very simple, very powerful rule: consume immediately, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Psychologists call this hyperbolic discounting, the tendency to value rewards that come now far more than rewards that come later. Here's how powerful this is. Studies show that most people, when given the choice, would rather have $50 today than $100 in 6 months. Think about that. They're choosing to lose $50 just to have it now. That's not stupidity. That's your ancient brain doing exactly what it was programmed to do. The problem? We're living in modern times with a 50,000-year-old operating system. Now let's talk about the most powerful chemical in your financial life. Dopamine. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical. That's only half the truth. Dopamine is actually the anticipation chemical. It fires when you expect a reward. This is why window shopping feels exciting. This is why adding items to your cart gives you a rush, even before you buy. This is why walking into a mall, smelling the food court, hearing the music, makes you feel alive. Retailers know this. They have spent billions studying your brain. The lighting in a store, the layout, the way prices end in 0.99, the countdown timer on a sale, all of it engineered to trigger your dopamine system. And here's the brutal truth. Saving produces almost no dopamine. When you transfer money to your savings account, nothing happens in your brain. No rush, no reward, no fireworks. But when you spend, especially on something new, something unexpected, something that signals status, your brain lights up like a Christmas tree. So every time you choose to save instead of spend, you are fighting your own neurochemistry. The people who win financially don't just have more willpower. They've learned to redirect that dopamine, to get excited about watching their investments grow, to feel that rush when their net worth hits a new milestone. They gamify saving. They make it feel like winning. Here's one that most financial gurus never talk about. Humans are tribal animals. For thousands of years, being rejected from the group meant death. You couldn't survive alone on the savannah. The tribe was your insurance policy. So your brain evolved a fierce need to belong, to fit in, to signal that you are a valuable member of the group. And in the modern world, we do that with money. The new car, the designer bag, the vacation photos on Instagram, the dinner at the expensive restaurant. We are not buying things. We are buying belonging. Researchers at Princeton found that social exclusion activates the same brain regions as physical pain. The fear of being seen as less than is literally as painful as breaking a bone. This is why peer pressure is so financially devastating. When everyone around you is upgrading their lifestyle, your brain sends out alarm signals: fit in or be left behind. And notice this. Social media has turned this up to 1,000. You're not just comparing yourself to your street or your office anymore. You're comparing yourself to the entire curated highlight reel of humanity every single day. The result? Lifestyle inflation. Keeping up with the Joneses. Spending money you don't have to impress people who don't care, on things you don't need. The wealthiest people I've studied do the opposite. They build tribes of builders, people who celebrate net worth, not net spending. Here's a fascinating experiment. Researchers at Stanford showed people photos of themselves, but some photos were digitally aged to show them at 70 years old. The people who saw their aged selves allocated twice as much money to retirement savings. Why? Because the human brain treats the future self almost like a stranger. When you think about saving for retirement, your brain doesn't think, "I'm doing this for me." It thinks, "I'm giving this money to someone I don't really know." And we are naturally less generous to strangers than to ourselves. This is called present bias, and it is why so many people hit 50 with almost nothing saved. Not because they didn't earn enough, but because their brain kept choosing the present version of themselves over the future version. The fix? Make your future self real. Write a letter to your future self. Look at aged photos of yourself. Sit quietly and imagine your life at 65. Where are you living? What are you eating? Who is taking care of you? Because when your future self becomes vivid and real, your brain starts treating them like someone worth investing in. Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman discovered something that changed how we understand human decision-making forever. Losses feel twice as painful as equivalent gains feel good. Losing 10,000 Nigerian nairas hurts approximately twice as much as gaining 10,000 Nigerian nairas feels good. This is called loss aversion, and it destroys wealth in several ways. First, it keeps people in bad financial situations. The pain of losing a lifestyle, cutting subscriptions, selling the car, moving to a smaller apartment, feels catastrophic, even when it's the smartest financial move available. Second, it causes panic selling. When investments dip, the pain of watching numbers fall overrides logic, and people sell at the worst possible moment. Third, it makes people irrationally risk-averse. The fear of losing what you have stops you from investing, starting the business, making the bold move that could multiply your wealth. Rich people aren't reckless, but they've learned to reframe loss. They don't see a market dip as losing money. They see it as buying at a discount. They don't see investing as risking what they have. They see not investing as the real risk, the slow, invisible loss of purchasing power called inflation. So now that you understand the wiring, what do you do about it? Here are the psychological rewires that separate wealth builders from everyone else. Number 1. Automate to remove willpower from the equation. The less your brain has to choose between spending and saving, the better. Set up automatic transfers to savings and investments the moment your income arrives. Make saving the default, not the decision. Number 2. Create a future self who is vivid and specific. Don't just say, "I want to be financially free." Say, "At 55, I want to own my home outright, travel twice a year, and never check a price tag again." The more specific your vision, the more real your future self becomes, and the more your brain will protect them. Number 3. Engineer your dopamine around wealth. Track your net worth monthly. Celebrate savings milestones. Make investing feel like a game you're winning. The brain doesn't care what triggers the dopamine. Give it a wealth-building trigger. Number 4. Curate your tribe ruthlessly. You will become the financial average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is not a motivational cliche. It is neuroscience. Find communities, mentors, and friends who talk about assets, not liabilities. Number 5. Reframe sacrifice as strategy. Every time you choose not to spend, don't tell yourself, "I can't afford this." Say, "I'm choosing to deploy this money somewhere more powerful." Language shapes identity, and identity shapes behavior. Here is the bottom line. You are not weak for struggling to save. You are not broken for overspending. You are human, and you are living with a brain that was built for a world that no longer exists. But understanding why you're wired this way is the beginning of freedom. Because once you see the invisible forces pulling you toward spending, you can start building invisible forces pulling you toward wealth. That is what Wealth Habits is about. Not just the tactics, not just the tips, but the deep rewiring that creates a genuinely different financial life. If this video helped you see money differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and drop in the comments which of these psychological traps has hit you hardest. I'll see you in the next one. Keep building.